Can we say that it is CAF once again bending to the whims and caprices of FIFA and UEFA to the detriment of African football?
You can say that, and it is very, very unfortunate because, I mean, the level of football development in Africa, why is the Nations Cup a biennial event in the first place? CAF's major argument used to be that it engenders constant competition, because without the Nations Cup, some countries will not be able to play qualifiers, which means, okay, you want to play Nations Cup every 4 years now. Some countries will not play any meaningful match for another 2 years until the qualifiers begin. Now they want to curtail that by now bringing in a yearly thing. I mean, too much of anything in life is always bad. Too much of football will kill the game. Yes, sponsors, big and low, will be jostling for recognition. They'll be pumping in money. But the time will come when fans will start speaking with their boots. They will not be attending matches again. And I think that is happening already. You can look at the quality of teams when you say you expand the World Cup, the Nations Cup, the Champions League. You can look at the quality of the team. Sometimes you hear Karabakh playing another team you've never heard of in your life. Is that the kind of game you want to watch? No. Above all, the key factor in this sport, the players have been compromised. They are not, healthcare is not looked at all. And this is so because when you have people who have never kicked a ball in their lives, taking big decisions, this is always what is going to be happening. It is very, very unfortunate. I think it is time for players, the players' body, to come forcefully out and speak in one voice, because this is at the detriment of the players' well-being. Too much football, they incur a lot of injuries, and their careers are curtailed. We don't want this. When you do things the right way, the way it should be done, you are going to have quality tournaments. Right now, what we're having is terrible tournaments, just because some people want to pocket a lot of money. It is all about money, and football is all about players.
Okay, so Professor Motsepe, let me come to you. The belief is that FIFA and UEFA have a mutual interest in promoting European football dominance to the detriment of other confederations across the world. And that is why we are seeing things like the African Nations League, which is pretty much a copy of the UEFA Nations League as well. And the fact that CAF has always basically relied on the African Cup of Nations to boost its coffers. Every 2 years they make us, we hear that right now they're going to earn as much as $140 million in profit, in revenue from the African Cup of Nations, walking away with potentially $114 million. So if this is now going to be every 4 years, how can CAF guarantee that their coffers and their finances will not be affected? Also, the African football fans, the fact that they have to wait for so long before they see the African Cup of Nations again, is it not at a detriment to the sport?
I don't know whether it's a detriment to the sport, because what we're talking about here, the last commentator did say that it's about the players. I think the players are already very well loaded with games. Making the African Cup of Nations, maybe the scarcity of the African Cup of Nations now coming to every 4 years, would actually maybe improve the standard of play. Again, let's go back. The reason we've done it every 2 years is because we want development on our national teams, we want development in infrastructure. But have we really succeeded in that? We only got our first semi-finals presence in the last World Cup after all these years. So it hasn't, playing it every other year has not really done much to improve our soccer and our infrastructure. The best infrastructure, of course, the northern African countries and maybe South Africa. Every other country is really lacking in infrastructure. No other country can produce 6 good soccer fields. So let's be calm about this thing. I don't know whether 4 years is going to be our best bet, but it's a new beginning. That's what they are trying to do. Let's see if it works.
Okay, Professor, let me just come in here and let me just quote something. A gentleman, Gerard Dreyfus, who is the former African football specialist and retired sports editor of RFI, what he said today, and to quote him, he said, this is an attempt to reduce the visibility of African football to make it more discreet, more docile, more compatible with European agendas and commercial interests that benefit only a select few. They want Africa to be content with crumbs, to renounce its own rhythm, its own dynamism, its own celebration. How would you respond to this?
Well, that's just big bladderdash. Look, it's the same European people that said America should never have been given the 94 World Cup. Go back and look at the commentary when America was given the rights to host the 94 World Cup. Look, it would seem as if the football was going to end in the world because America was given it. What then happened? Till today, and that World Cup, which had only how many teams at that time? 24 teams, still has the best attendance till today. And it went from 24 to 32, the very next World Cup. So look, again, we have to be very, very calm about this thing. Everything is not about who we are. Look, we're trying to build a good soccer rhythm within Africa. We've tried the 2 years. Look, we know that the last 10 years or so, things have been a little bit shaky, postponement, switching countries that are going to host and all that. There's something really very difficult. The country is not really awash with money. Very few countries can host it. I like the idea of 2-3 countries coming together to host it now because it's going to be cheaper for the countries to do that. And that's a great move on the part of CAF. But for heaven's sake, I mean, all this English about Europe trying to undermine. Look, we have a bunch of African players playing in European leagues.
Okay.
A lot of teams will not survive without African players. They make a whole lot of money doing that. So I'm not saying we shouldn't complain, but the complaint seems to be overboard. All right, then. Let's give it a chance. It's something different.
Professor, sorry to interject, but let me take you down memory lane just a bit. Now, over the last 5 years in particular, we've had this constant pattern of CAF postponing events. I mean, for almost 2 years, we did not have the AFCON. It was so difficult for CAF to find a way to impute AFCON into their calendar. So, whilst some of our competitions are suffering, it does look like CAF is always trying to please FIFA, trying to be on the good side. Meanwhile, we are suffering internally. So if consistently over the last couple of years, it does seem like Motsepe cannot make a decision without probably getting full clearance from FIFA, or it seems to be that Motsepe does not have a strong stance on some of the things that we want to do here in Africa under CAF. Is it then wrong for people to then go with the narrative and say, maybe, you know what, we seem to just be dancing to the tune of FIFA at our own detriment?
Yeah.
Hey, look, I don't see what the negative is yet. Look, it hasn't happened. Again, I just called up. Let us look at what have we done with African football in the last 20 years. They've increased the number of teams that go from Africa to the World Cup. I mean, we now have 9. We have 9 teams going to the World Cup, possibly 10. All that, there's nothing wrong with that. It's good for us. You just said Wafu was. Look, the football calendar is already very tight because of Europe. There's no doubt about that. The European leagues dominate the calendar. We all have to agree to that. But we also have a bunch of Africans playing in the European League. So what I'm saying is that I think we should be a little bit patient. Look, I was one of those. I was against the 24-team African Cup of Nations. I thought, which country is going to be able to host 24 teams in Africa? Single-handedly. That's a lot of fields, a lot of hotels, a lot of security, and all that. But we're finding a way to do that with 3 countries, 2-3 countries. That's good. Let's be patient. This thing on the long run, your last commentator did say it's a lot about money. Look, if the money is good, I listened to the entire interview or press conference by the president of CAF yesterday. Look, he's talking about almost raising $1 billion in the next 8 years in revenue and all that. That's a lot of good money. If he can do that, especially with the partners he's talking about, ING and the other company and all that, these are solid companies that know how to market things. And, so again, let's be patient, because on the long run, what we are looking for is good football and good infrastructure.
Okay, Professor, finally, before I let you go, I need you to explain to me and our viewers here in Nigeria and the rest of Africa how it makes economic sense that your biennial tournament, which is your biggest source of revenue, your lifeblood, is now going to become more valuable or even more, more lucrative by moving it from a biennial cycle to a quadrennial cycle. So instead of hosting it every 2 years, moving it to 4 years, how is that going to give CAF even more money?
Well, there's something we talk about in economics. Scarcity makes things a little bit more demanding. You know, look, every 4 years, that means African football competition becomes very scarce. We're waiting for 4 years. There's that anxiety. People are going to pump money into it. I mean, that's what happens. I'll give you a good example. The NFL in America, American football, is the most lucrative sports league in the world. They only have a 17-week season. 17 weeks. It is a scarce commodity. But it makes more money than all the 5 top English football leagues. And it plays only for 17 weeks. That is half a season in England.
Well, just to be clear, does it make more money than the top 5 English leagues or the top 5 European leagues?
The top 5 European leagues, sorry. Top 5 European leagues.
The NFL makes more money than the top 5 European leagues combined?
Yes.
And it plays only 17 weeks?
Yes.
Oh, wow, interesting. Well, okay, we've been speaking with...
That scarcity. That scarcity makes it very, very demanding.
I see.
So you've got to look at that. Maybe every 4 years, African Cup of Nations will be salivating for it to come. Who knows? Let them market it. Let's see how it works. But look, what we are doing now is not working. We've only had one, let's be honest, just one team get to the semifinals of the World Cup. Now, is that really, don't you think we should be able to play better than that? But we're not. That's the truth. You know, there's nothing you can do about it. I mean, so let's be calm. I don't think, and it has nothing to, of course, FIFA sets the calendar for the world football. So they're going to obviously try to influence what will pay what I'll call the generality of the world. So, and I think that is what they are doing. They want some kind of uniform in how these things are done, and that is actually thinking about the players.
Okay.
If the players know that African Cup of Nations qualifying for it from Africa into the AFCON is once every 4 years, I mean, there'll be better. Let's see. I think there'll be better opportunities, and I hope they really do make more money from it. Okay,
Professor Patrick Motsepe joining us all the way from Houston, Texas. Thank you very much for your time. We'll be hoping that this move by CAF makes both financial and sporting sense. Thank you so much for your time, sir.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.